Okay, sorry about that, folks. We're live again with Uncover Your Business Potential. I'm going to be running through a bit about the course and giving you some insight into some different aspects of the course. So that might be helpful to everyone in terms of just making up their mind, is this for you or not? So just if we could again just get people to put in the chat box if you can hear us. We had a bit of a technical issue there, but we're back. So let's get cracking. So what we're going to run through today is just what's involved in the course, and I'll try and give you some insight, a little bit more than is in obviously the brochureware and the marketing material. I'll talk about how participants are extracting value from the course, and then we'll just have a bit of a think about, or you can have a think about beyond today, is this something that appeals to you? Is this something that is going to be of value? So let's run through what's involved. So just a quick overview. You get quarterly face-to-face coaching days. So I turn up and we do some quarterly information. It's all outlined in the brochureware, what we're going to cover on each day. There's business management stuff, there's financial planning stuff. You get access to me via email and phone call between the coaching days, and that's unlimited. It's whatever you need. We've got a private Facebook group, which works really well. We're able to share stuff amongst the group. It's just between delegates. It's helpful just for maintaining that motivation, that accountability, and it's also a bit of fun. We've got formal mid-session group phone calls where we get to check in and share information, make sure that everything's on track. And all the days are filmed, and this one's really valuable. All the delegates tell me that they do refer back to the video material after the event. Sometimes they're sharing it with other people on their team. If there's something that's particularly relevant to a staff member, they'll get them to watch the video. But you can go back, months later after we've done the stuff, just to make sure that you're still on track or to refresh your memory. All the tools, templates, and workbooks are provided online. You can use them as online documents if you want to go paperless. If you want to print stuff off, you can do that too. It's set up to work both ways, but just everything you need is on our portal for delegates. The last thing you get also is access to my personal network, and I'll touch on this later in the presentation. But if you need help with a particular thing in your business, I've got a great network of people that I know across the profession who can help. And so you get instant access to that stuff as well, and people are finding that really valuable. Okay, so I'm not going to bore you with any more basic stuff. If you want more information, and don't go there now, but if you want more information, you can go to fpadvanced-workshops.com. Everything you need is there, and you can have a look through that later on after today's presentation. There's also, we've added, if you haven't been on there recently, we've added some very short videos on that site that answer some of the common questions, that people will have. They're all under 60 seconds. So you can go on there and get some answers to the more obvious stuff if we don't cover it off for you today. So running through the course. So the face-to-face days, I'm taking them personally. So you get to work with me for the day face-to-face. Hopefully that's a good thing for most of you. Teaching groups is my favorite thing to do. It's one of the reasons we decided to put a course together. We also think it's a great way for people to learn, but it's just one of the highlights of the work that I do. And so anyone who's been to one of my workshops or seen me present, I really do try and keep things not only informative but engaging. So it's a bit of fun, but it's also really high quality information, and we're getting you thinking all throughout the day. So you're actively involved. And again, delegates are telling us that they're finding that a really good way to spend a day once a quarter. Okay, so thinking about the course. If you did a financial planning course where it taught you the skills of how to do better planning, and I'm going to put all the technical stuff you might do, even some selling skills stuff could fall under that category. If you work on that part of your business, which to be honest is where most financial planners spend their time, it's great, it's got some benefits, but there's obviously a huge gap. And the huge gap, as far as I can tell, is in the business management side of things. So most of us are nice, good-hearted technicians who've started a business that's trying to help people doing good quality financial planning work. And so that's cool. Doing financial planning courses will help you with that. But the gap is the business management stuff. So you could get out there and you could do yourself a business management course. And I think for most advisors running a business, that would be really time and money well spent. You know, getting some extra knowledge, you know, how do you make it all happen? Because these are the skills that, to be honest, most of us are learning at the coalface day to day. No one ever taught me half this stuff when I was in business, you know, a long time back. I had to figure it all out from my own volition. So if you did a business management course, that would be a great step in the right direction. The UIBP course, Uncover Your Business Potential, blends both of those things into one course. And again, this is how we've designed it deliberately to make it something that's really valuable for participants. So yes, we'll be touching on high value, high-end financial planning stuff that will round off, if you like, the technical and bits and bobs that you'll have done in various other formats from time to time. But we're also going to be then working very hard on the business management stuff. And people are going to find that really rounding out their internal business. You know, it's trying to help you do stuff that's great, it's fun, and it's profitable. My aim from the course is to get you thinking like a business person about your business. So we want things to be challenging you and get you thinking in a different way. So you also get access to me between coaching days. Now, this is really important because it's going to help you implement ideas correctly. We don't do the coaching day and then leave you hanging for 3 months, get you back and then say, sorry, old mate, you did it wrong. Okay, we're working with you intensively at the end of the phone, at the end of email or whatever, to make sure that stuff is implemented right. I'll be checking in proactively to make sure that people are doing some of the stuff that I know from time to time people can implement incorrectly, making sure they're doing it right. You can also get hold of me easily if you or your team feel you're a bit stuck on an issue. Now, that could be as simple as a 5-minute phone call to get you unstuck, or sometimes we'll schedule something where we might be talking for an hour or more, really picking through an issue. Like I'm real to make sure that you're moving forward with the material that we're working on. There'll also be opportunity, there is opportunity in that, to talk about stuff that we're not working on, but is still keeping you stuck. And I'll give you some examples of this a bit later in the presentation. But also access to me just keeps things a bit accountable too. There's just no excuses for not unraveling bits and pieces and moving forward. I'll be in touch from time to time too, just to make sure that everything's working for you as it should. So a quick example of this, on day one, the business management piece that we teach is all about effective weekly meetings. And this is all about good execution in your business. But we get into that, and it's one area that it's actually very simple and straightforward, but it can take a few months for people to master the skill. And so I'm on everyone's case about making sure that they're following the process, doing it correctly, and talking to them about where any issues are coming up. The issue is, how do you get stuff done in your business? And we've talked in the marketing material and the videos we've done that the inability to execute is probably the #1 issue, I think, for most small businesses, period. And it's certainly the case for most financial planning businesses I know. So how do you get stuff done? What challenges do you face in the area of implementation and execution of good ideas? You can go to all the seminars you like, but if you can't put them into action effectively, the ideas that you learn from those seminars, then really that's the major blockage, and it's the #1 thing we've addressed, and we addressed it on day one. So we said in a blog last week, business is 10% strategy and 90% execution. I genuinely believe that. So what are your execution skills like? You know, look back on your career, evaluate your performance. Are you moving forward as fast as you would like? I just know in my own business career, you know, this was an area that was just bloody average, to be honest, for an awful long time, and we've got a lot better at it as time has gone on, but it's because we've learned some skills, and this is easy to learn, but we've learned some skills that help us execute more effectively. So typical issues in business with execution. In small firms across the board, there is not usually enough communication. Now, this can come as a bit of a shock to the owners of small firms, but talk to your team. and they will often say that communication is poor. And you can't believe it when you work in a small office and you can see everyone across the office floor space every day. People wonder why the communication's not there, but it needs more than just being in proximity. There needs to be some formal processes. So often in small firms, there's not enough formal meetings. Now, I know why that happens. If you've come out of large corporate culture where all they do is have meetings, often it's the last thing in the world that you want to replicate, and I understand that. But there's another reason why small firms don't have meetings. It's because there's no structure to the meeting, there's no discipline, there's no timekeeping, there's too much waffle, and people just get bored. You know, if you've been in them, you'll know why. Often we forget why the meetings were scheduled. So they might run for a few months, and because there's no structure, no discipline, and they're waffly and boring, after a few months, everyone says, you know what, this is a bloody waste of time, let's can it. And so we end up with not enough meetings going on in the business. They get stopped. And the main reason for that is because all those things are wrong with the structure of the meetings don't make any difference to the progress of the business. And I've got to be honest, if I attended meetings and we didn't see any results from that, I wouldn't want to go either. And so it's changing that core skill in your business into something where we hold meetings, they're effective, they're interesting, we make decisions, and we move forward so that you can actually see progress as a result. We try and also stop discussions going around in circles. If there's multiple directors or partners in your firm, usually you're all a little bit different, and that's a real plus because we want people with different perspectives. But the downside is if the meetings are not well structured, discussions can go around in circles, but that's a skill we can teach you to overcome so you can be more effective as a group. You know, whether that's a husband and wife decision-making team or a group of multiple directors. So if no decisions are getting made, you know, again, it's a real issue with your execution capability. So you need an effective management and meeting process to get stuff done every single week. So we want baby steps walking forward week to week. It's not going to happen by itself. You know, if it hasn't happened after this long, trust me, you're not going to get struck by lightning and it's magically going to change. So it's a skill that we need to learn, we need to master, and we're going to teach you that on the very first day of the course. When you master that skill, when you start to see that actually we're having better quality meetings, we're working through issues, we're not going around in circles, we're resolving stuff and making decisions, and then we're executing on those decisions 1 week at a time, this is the stuff that all of a sudden can reinvigorate your passion and your love for your business if for any reason that's waned or you're feeling a little bit frustrated. Right, this ability to walk things forward in baby steps is the key to feeling good about your business. When you see progress, then you know it's all going to happen. It's just a question then of how quick. The frustration comes from when you're slogging away week after week and you're not even sure if it's making a difference. So in successful firms, they communicate brilliantly with their team using a structured and repeatable process. So they're not all like Walt Disney, doing management by walking around or whatever he called it. They just have a structured process for communicating the decisions they've made, the thoughts that are going on, the business plan. It's easy to set up, and it doesn't have to be very time consuming either. It just needs to get to the nub of the issue. Issues get discussed and solved every week because everyone's been trained in how to resolve issues productively. This starts to re-energize the owners in the business because they see progress. The business then starts to become more profitable and more valuable for the owners and their family, which keeps things positive and supportive at home, because that you can have pressure from there as well. Would like, and that's just an extra pressure that we have sometimes as business owners. So how has the course helped people in doing some of this stuff? So some practical examples. We've taught the material, but then I've stepped in and actually chaired a meeting or two via Skype just to show the owners and the team, how the leadership team that is, how those meetings are meant to run. So we can do that if you need that sort of, you know, hands-on help. In one firm, which is just the owner and his PA, that's the firm. It's the owner and the PA who meet. We've decided they're the leadership team. The PA is intrinsically involved in the business, as you can imagine, and so they meet every week. That's their leadership team. In two other businesses where they're a husband and wife ownership, It's the husband and wife that meet as the leadership team, and they go through the weekly meeting process. That's the same for us in FP Advance. Debbie and I do the same every week. In another business where there's multiple owners, it's a formal leadership team that get together and hold the weekly meetings. But what we're seeing across all of them is that their ability to execute and implement the stuff we're teaching them goes up dramatically. And obviously the ability to execute other stuff they're working on as well. But the fact that they can put into practice what we're teaching stops the course becoming redundant. Now, very interestingly, we're coming up to the end of year 1 on the very first Uncover Your Business Potential course. We've written to everyone, and every single delegate is going into year 2. And I assure you that wouldn't be happening if they weren't able to execute on the stuff we were teaching. What we're finding also is there is a focus in the businesses now that wasn't there before. And it's not that they were poor businesses, but they just didn't have some of these skills. They're doing less, but they're achieving more. And that's an outcome of this weekly meeting process and the business planning stuff that we've done with them. Very, very focused on what's trying to get done. The projects that they start are getting completed, and obviously they're still doing all their business as usual. The biggest blockage to effective execution is, and you might relate to this, is if you've got 8 projects that are all 91% done, to be honest, it's a waste of time, and it's like a living hell. You know, all those projects that are nearly finished but not quite done, what we're getting people to do is focus on 1 or 2 or 3 things and get the bloody things done. That's the stuff that makes a difference to your business. Then you can move on to some of the other projects. But often, business owners need a bit of support around that, because it's just all too easy to think everything's urgent and important, and clearly it's not. So another example that we work on in year 1 is basic proposition and pricing. Now, please don't leave the webinar when I mention these words, and don't fall asleep, but let me share with you what's happened in this area with the stuff we've been doing with the current delegates, and what we can help you with as well. Now, you know, it's never about the price of what you do. It's always about the value. I think everyone sort of accepts that nowadays. And with your pricing, there are decision-making for clients happens in these 3 easy steps. Now, they won't say this, they won't know that this is how they think about it, but this is sort of the psychology. The first thing they're thinking is, what is my problem? You know, financially they're thinking, and how bad does it hurt? Now, I promise you, if it's not hurting bad, they won't be in your office. So the only reason they're in talking to you or making an inquiry with you is it's starting to hurt a little bit too much, whether they fess that up or not. Secondly, they're thinking, after they talk to you, will your product or service actually solve my problem? This is their core decision. If it does, they can hang with you. If it doesn't, they're off. And then thirdly, assuming you can help solve their problem and they believe you, they're asking themselves, well, what's all that worth to me if you can actually solve it? You know, how much would I pay for that? Now, clearly the answers to these questions truly are unique to each individual. But when you start to know your market and you know the types of people you work with, clearly you can put together a proposition that addresses the core issues, and you can start to price it at a level that you know people by and large are going to accept. Okay, but your thinking about these questions needs to happen in a different order. Your first question is obviously, what's your problem, Mr. or Mrs. Prospect, and how bad does it hurt? And the way that you get to the bottom of that is by asking good questions at the first meeting, which is something that we work on, obviously, in the first year of the course. You're then thinking, though, and saying, look, if I can solve that problem for you, sort of what's it worth? Now, you're not necessarily going to ask that straight out, but that's going to be implied in some of the stuff that you'll do in your advisory and sales process. And then the third thing you're going to do is say, all right, let me show you how my product or service can take away your pain and discomfort, and maybe it can even put some cash in your pocket. Now, if you can get these things sorted out and really nailed, you'll just find a significant uptick and go forward in your business. So let me tell you where this has made a difference. On the course already had a functioning and working proposition, right? They were all decent. But what's happened is every single firm has been able to sharpen that up a lot further. And they've been able to use some of the example materials, branding materials we supplied, but they've all ended up with something that truly is unique looking and feeling to them. They've been able to tweak it, modify it, delete, add, and turn it into stuff that lets them look the goods. So they came with a working proposition. These are not hopeless people that had no idea what their proposition was, but what we've done is really got it nailed. Now, what's happened off the back of that is they've been able to increase their pricing, which happens in line with their new understanding of the value that they add, and that's coming out of the first year's work. The revenue that they're generating that is extra is rising much faster than the $650 a month plus VAT that they paid to be on the course. And it's one reason why we priced it monthly and not yearly or half yearly or something like that, because we realize you can spend a small outlay, go and do some implementation and actually get payback at a much higher rate than we're charging on a monthly basis, which fund. And the question I guess to ask is, how many new or existing clients do you need to be working with at a higher price to pay for the whole first year of the course, or in fact the whole course itself? The answer, in my opinion, is not very many. So another example of stuff that we touch on very early, which again a lot of firms I think suspect that they've sort of got right. My experience is they usually don't have this quite nailed, is identifying who you really work best with. So here's what most firms have done. They segmented their client base because the compliance person or their network told them that they had to, or the FCA told them at a seminar, whatever it is. They've seen other advisors use an A, B, or C type segmentation model and they've copied it, but they've got no idea really why they're doing it. They might have even created a bunch of different service offerings. Now, if I see another bunch of service packages named after trees, I think I might have to shoot myself. So if you're thinking about calling it, oak, willow, and elm or something like that, don't, because lots of people seem to be doing it. I don't know why. But creating 3 manufactured service packages doesn't work, right? It just adds complexity to your business. And a lot of my consulting work, all I do is end up unwinding that. You do financial planning or you do financial advice. That's the offer. Yes, we might tailor and bespoke the service package for people, but you're not going to do it using 3 service packages. I just think people have misunderstood this or done it because the FCA told them it was a good idea, but even they're not suggesting it like that. I think stuff's been misunderstood. So this is one that we often unwind when people get involved with us and come on the course. So watch out for that. Other people have tried to use segmentation just as an upsell tool. When you go to the cinema, there's a small Coke, a medium Coke, and a massive, more than you could possibly drink in a lifetime Coke. Apparently, everyone buys the medium-sized one. That's why Coke do it. And some people have built their service packages to upsell people to a particular one that they want to sell. That's missed the point completely as far as I can tell, and I'll tell you why in a second. Other firms will just vary the number of reviews that they do with each client type. A's get 2 or 3, B's get 1 or 2, or whatever it is. They think that this is differentiation. It's not, and so don't do that either. Wealthy clients might only need 1 review a year, and some less wealthy clients might need more. It's about the client's needs. It's not about this bog standardized packaging stuff. Lastly, a lot of firms have provided a low touch or no touch service to their legacy clients, but I've got to be honest, it doesn't fix the small client problem. So my advice is don't do it. And again, this is stuff that we'll work through very early in the course, get it sorted out, get you on the right track, and then we can put this stuff to bed. I know it's been talked about for a long time. I've spent a decade talking about it, but I'm still not really seeing people do all this stuff, addressing this stuff very well. So we get that sorted out nice and early. Funnily enough, if you do any of those things, it's not going to make a big difference to your performance and your profitability. Okay, so you need to get to the real issues, and that's what we'll deal with. So what are the signs, if you've had a go at your segmentation and pricing and packaging, what are the signs that it's not really working? Well, there's a few. First is you can't really explain to your husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, friends, staff, or peers who you really work with. Every time you find yourself explaining it, it all comes out a bit convoluted and you're going, I'm not really sure. You think you can't afford to be selective. You can't say no to some work because either you think you'll go out of business, that might be a bit dramatic, but you think it's going to hurt my income if I start saying no to people, when in fact the opposite is true if you know what you're doing and you've really nailed all this stuff. Thirdly, a lot of clients, or every client, starts to feel like an exception. people will tell me, you know, everyone we work with is an individual, and that's true. We are all individuals, but to be honest, we're all the bloody same as well. And the fact is, if too many people feel like exceptions, you just really haven't nailed your target market. A couple of other signs that your segmentation approach, you know, doesn't work, that you don't know who you work for. As an owner, you're earning less than you're worth would be one good sign. Using the job down the road test. If you packaged up all your clients that you're responsible for, went to one of your local competitors and said, man, give me a job and here's what I bring, how much would they pay you? If you're getting paid less than that, probably your approach ain't quite right. The other test you can use is, you know, most advisors can affordably be paid between 1/3 and 40% of what they generate in revenue. And are you taking that from your own business? And that would be another test. The last one that says to me maybe your segmentation approach hasn't quite worked is, as an advisor, you produce less than you think you could. Now, here's some guidelines. You know, average advisors are doing 150 grand a year of revenue that they manage. That's their total, recurring and new. Good advisors, it's more like 200,000 or 300,000, and excellent advisors, it's more like 5 or 6. Now, again, when you really nail these things, you can be on the path to doing 500 or 600 grand a year of revenue individually, as can the other advisors who work for you. This is not a panacea. You don't do that in 5 minutes, but you should be on that path. I don't want to see you get stuck at one of these, you know, less impressive thresholds. Okay, so how do you make the who do you work with question, the segmentation question, really work for you? You've got to understand why you're segmenting, all right? And there's a few reasons. The first one, and the most important one, is to understand your client's needs more deeply. As you get to really, really get under the skin of your clients, then you can start to talk your language, their language, and you can really start to hit the nail on the head. This sees referrals go through the roof. Like, that's the easiest way to get more referrals, is really know your clients and deliver what they want. They can't stop talking about it. You want to improve the service quality for your clients, okay? And that's the second outcome. When you get to really know the people you work with, you can improve the way that you deliver to those people. What that will allow you to do then is improve your pricing power and your profitability, because when you really know your stuff and you deliver, people will pay. And then lastly, what you get out of all that is you get a better working and living balance. And again, this is I think the whole why that, you know, that FP Advance works to deliver to people, is this better life balance. You know, advise better, live better is our strapline. It's really trying to get you as the owner to feel the benefits that you deliver to the clients that you work with. You help them get their lives sorted out, simplify everything, keep it nice and easy, and to go out and live. You know, our goal is to help you do exactly the same thing. So how this has helped delegates in this first year, all of them have identified their real clients, and it's a lot less than they thought they had. All right, they're actively then taking steps to reduce client numbers without going broke or feeling like they're under financial pressure. Every single one of them has had reservations about this. That's normal. But now they understand the reasoning behind why they have to do something about the smaller clients or the lesser clients. Now, when I write blogs about this, look, like in about 800 words, which is sort of all we've got, or if we write an article, you know, we get pushback sometimes from people saying, oh yeah, but they were my foundation clients and blah, blah, blah. You know, 800 words doesn't allow me ever to attack this issue with all the nuances and subtleties that are involved in it. But when we go through it in the course, we get to spend a lot of time on this, and you'll come out the other end thinking, yeah, I get that. You know, all the firms we're working with, there's still further for them to go. They haven't fixed it completely, but progress, not perfection. That's what all we're after. But as more income starts to roll in and they see the benefits, it's much, much easier for me to get them to take the next step. And they're all actively working on this as we go. Give it another year or two, and they will have dealt with this in its entirety. When you then go and meet them at a conference and you say, well, what should I do about the small clients? What they're going to say is, mate, you should just get rid of them. Now, they're going to sound like the heartless bastards, but they're not. They will have gone through a whole process, right, to get to that place. Trust me, it is an emotive and challenging issue for all people, but we'll help you work through that. Look, some other things that have come up with delegates that are completely unrelated to the course. So it's not that they're unrelated to their business, but they're not issues that we're working through in the year one material. One good example was investment proposition for about 3 firms. They just needed to deal with this because their proposition was holding them back. And so what we did was we set up some time. I've done some consulting work with them where we've actually got in and done a quick and dirty sort out of their investment proposition. But there's some benefits that have come to them from doing that. One, it's got sorted out really quickly because we haven't dicked around. There's nothing to sell here. We're just trying to say, look, how do we get this sorted out as quickly as possible? It is going to be covered in detail in year 2, so I know we're going to get the full box and dice coming, but they needed a quick answer. What I've been able to do, though, is make sure that they don't run off and do something that they'll then have to unwind in 12 months' time. Now, think back to your own business career, and I can put my hand up here too. How many things have we implemented only to find that a year later we've gone, oh, no, that's not it, and we've had to change it? Now, your clients can very, very easily in our industry get change fatigue. You know, if you've changed your wrap provider, you've changed your investment suppliers, you've changed your service proposition and your material, like, there is a period where you need to change all that stuff, but you don't want to have to keep going back every year and changing it again. It makes you look less credible in the eyes of your clients. So we've been able to do stuff that lets them get a quick answer, but not have to go and unwind it all a year later. And it's avoiding some of these obvious potholes that I think is a huge part of the value of the course and working with myself on it. You know, you do not need to go out and make the same mistakes that every other advisor before you has made. I've got to be honest, that's how I learned, and it's not very bloody effective. So you don't need to do this. You can come to the course, you can talk to me, you can raise issues, we can debate, we can discuss, point you in the right direction, and this just accelerates your process and reduces the pain. You know, other things I've done for people on the course, I've reviewed documentation. Some of it was related to what we've been teaching, and some of it not. I've connected people with other specialists to solve issues that have come up, again, that we might not be dealing with this year in the course. They ring me up, I can point them in the right direction, recommend a person, or at least give them a short list. One call to me and it sort of gets sorted out very quickly. I don't know about you, but I've kissed a lot of frogs along the way sometimes to find those good suppliers. And so again, tapping into our network is a real benefit. One firm who are on the course are leaving their network and they're going directly authorized. That's great for them. Another firm is staying with their network, and we're just designing any implementation of course materials around the rules and regs that they have to operate under in their network. It's not a showstopper. It's not a barrier to them doing things effectively. Another delegate is in the process of negotiating buying out the founder of the firm. And so I've got involved in giving some opinion and advice around the valuation, you know, how they might deal with it. And again, that's just helpful to that guy who's on the course, just to make sure that he's getting all the information. If you're just talking to brokers and others, you know, there's always a little bit of vested interest there. I can give you a bigger perspective on the market. He's found that really valuable. I've asked another firm to slow down and stop with their own crazy self-imposed deadlines. The owner here is super motivated, super keen, but I've just had to rein him in, you know, nicely and just say, man, let's just do this a bit at a time. And that's helping him. It's helping the team that works with him. People are not so stressed. I'm sure it's making a difference to him and his family life as well. Everyone's now got a business plan. Now, I can't swear that they all look at it as regularly as I'd like, but we're working on that. But everyone has a business plan. They know where they're headed. It's focused. You know, it's this less is more concept. So heading into year 2, and this is what comes in the second year of the course, but I think you can see now why we have to nail all that other stuff, is we're going to work on business process, staffing and structure, analyzing the existing team in these businesses. We're going to work then on the investment proposition, delegating and elevating. One of my goals over the 3 years is for you as the owner to be letting go and only doing the stuff that you love and are good at. And that's not a very long list. So that means we have to get all the other jobs going somewhere else, but really get into that in year 2. Professional branding and marketing, reviewing the vision, working with professional connections, another tricky area. but also then starting to teach the team in these businesses some of the management skills and processes that we've worked on with the owners this year. And when you can get your team running their own meetings effectively, solving their own issues, now you're starting to have a business that can run itself. Those things that we're going to do in year 2, that's the really sexy stuff, I reckon. These are the business builders. You get those right, now you've got a proper business. But we can only do them and make them stick when you've got this year 1 stuff nailed. So again, if you're umming and ahhing about, look, do I have a proposition, or do I think my pricing's okay? My experience is there's always a bit more to be done. And if we can just get that 100%, then when we work on these other business building ideas, things will stick and stay. I see lots of businesses who try and build too fast. They're building on a less than solid foundation, and often they have to go back and revisit some of those early issues. And it's just no way to go through life. Like I said earlier, it's sort of like it's hell on business earth. It's just not the way to do things. So the question that comes out of today, and I hope that we've stimulated in some way, is this for you? Does the course sound like it's something for you? If you've got any questions, go and stick them into the chat bar on the side now. And I'm raising this. There's a few more slides to go, but I want to give you some time to just have a think about, is there anything obvious that you'd like to ask? You can put it in the chat bar here, and then we can address that while we're live on the call. If there's anything else, I'll give you some details in a second, and you can get in touch with me directly if it's not something you want to put out in public. But just take a minute and post some stuff there, and we'll see what comes through. And we'll try and answer any of those questions. Okay, so what are the outcomes that you could expect? Look, from the very first session, and this was the feedback I got last year from delegates, after day 1, they all said, we are thinking completely differently about our business. Now, that's just music to my ears. That's really what I'm trying to achieve. I want you to think like business people. I'll help you advise better and live better to get this work-life balance in order. We want to help you with the profitability, the fun, and the future final sale value of your business. And we know that when you do this course and learn these skills, those things will be changed forever. So you know, this is one of the benefits. If there's any director level disagreement, so if there's multiple partners, and usually when there's more than one, there's scope for disagreement, but I will be able to help you resolve that stuff, and not only resolve issues, but I'll teach you some skills that will let you be able to resolve your own issues going forward. You know, the aim is after 3 years, we've taught you how to fish. You've got the skills that you're going to need for life, the skills that will allow you to run a really great business. Okay, if you think that the course might be for you, I'd be happy to chat. Now, you'll need to get on to that quickly because we're kicking off in early June. I'll give you dates in a minute. But drop me an email to Brett@FP and with a question I can answer, or we can set up a call off the back of that. So drop that through. Hugo will pick it up, and you can get a time in the diary for us to chat. But more than happy to talk to you if you're umming and ahhing about whether this is the right thing for you and whether now's the right time. We only launch 1 course a year, so it's now, or otherwise it's 12 months' time. I'd hate you to wait if there's something we could have addressed that would have got you on board. So just summing up, we've got the face-to-face coaching days, access to me. We've got the private Facebook group, the formal mid-session calls. All the days are filmed. All your workbooks, tools, and templates are online. You get access to my personal network. I just think that this is a fantastic package of benefits, and certainly with what we've seen with the Year 1 group, it's really delivering in the way that we'd absolutely hoped when we kicked off a year ago. I'm absolutely committed to helping small firms grow. This is what I love to do. This is what I would love to be doing with you if you're keen. So if you think this might be for you, get yourself on board. Our next course starts on Tuesday, the 9th of June, so it's only a few weeks away. You can find out more information at fpadvanced-workshops.com or drop me an email. And all your information you need, if you want to register, you can do that. Places are limited, so don't think too long. But if you think this is for you, then I would really, really love to see you involved. All right, now I'm gonna hang on for just a minute or two to see if any questions come through. We're not the sort of firm that goes and sticks a bunch of fake questions up here to make this sound really professional, so bear with me. But if there is any questions that you want to post, do that now and they will come through. And if there's not, if this has answered all your questions, I'll sort of take that as a compliment. I'm sure between this and the other information that's on our workshops portal, there's everything you need to know that's been answered. But if you want to do anything privately, like I say, just drop me an email or give me a call, or we can set up a call and go through that in a bit more depth. But look, I hope this has been of some interest. I hope it's perhaps rounded out your understanding of what we do and what we're about. I'd really love to see you there on June the 9th, and really looking forward to kicking off with the people that have already registered for the course. It's going to be great fun. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming through, so I'm just going to leave it at that. If for any reason we've missed you on that, again, just drop me an email, and I'm happy to deal with that. But thanks for joining us today, and hopefully I'll see you on the 9th of June.